Who's this? What?
What's your name?
Daphne.
Hey, Daphne, I have a question for you.
Huh?
Are you brave?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why?
because I'm not scared of anything.
Hi everyone, what you're about to watch was filmed before I had a double lung transplant. I'm Temtchine, I'm a singer and a songwriter, and for the past 12 years I've been living with pulmonary hypertension. It's a true miracle that I'm alive today. I created Super Brave Kids because I believe that children who are living with chronic health conditions have the answers to some of life's most challenging questions, which is why I call this series of interviews Life Lessons from Super Kids. Join us as we interview kids from all over the world who have one thing in common. They're all superheroes disguised as kids. Please help me welcome today's guest.
How old are you, Daphne? Are you 5?
3.5.
How old?
Talk louder.
3.5.
Julie, can you give us a sense of Daphne's story? I mean, I don't want to bombard you with everything, but can you give us a sense of Daphne's story?
Sure. Yeah. So Daphne was born with essentially half a heart. Usually your heart has 2 pumping chambers, and she was born with 1.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How many has she had total surgeries?
She's had 3 surgeries. She had surgery at 10 days old, and then she had her second one at 10 months, and then 2 years old.
And for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future, no open heart surgery. She might need a pacemaker. They implanted some pacemaker wires when they did her last surgery because it's kind of a common thing when you have a single ventricle for that ventricle to get tired and need pacing. But that would be like an outpatient one day, hopefully.
Yeah, so you take it as it comes, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is probably how you now take life.
It is, yes.
What's her care like now in terms of hospitals? Are you guys at the hospital frequently?
Yeah, so right now we do a once a year cardiac catheterization. So it's like a really big study of what's going on with her heart. And it's a 1-day like outpatient procedure, but we usually stay the night because her heart's very complex. So it takes them about, I think it was like 3 hours last time. It was pretty long. So being under anesthesia for that long, they like to monitor her for a day.
What would you say the hardest thing is with regard to what she's going through?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is that people don't realize that she only has half a heart and she has limitations. So they see her, she looks normal, and they might not know that she has a compromised immune system too. She was also born without a spleen. So any infection that she gets could be, a really bad thing. So we have to be really close monitoring infections. And then with half a heart, you have complications when you have just a regular like flu. It could go into pneumonia really fast and it could really mess up your lungs.
Yeah. And how does this make you feel as a mother? I mean, that's like a huge question, I'm sure, but
yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel scared a lot of the time? Do you feel grateful most of the time? How does it make you feel?
Yeah, it's kind of both. Like, I'm definitely grateful that she was able to have these surgeries, because when she was first born, they told we don't really know how the surgeries work for these kids sometimes. Each kid is different the way they respond. So she might have limitations. She might not make it through the first one. It could be, there's a potential for that. So that part was definitely scary. But as we just so grateful that she's so happy and that she responded so well, and she's really thriving, which is fantastic. And she can really show people that you can beat the odds. Yeah.
And what's her biggest struggle health-wise? Is it that you find that she's short of breath, or how do you know to kind of stop things?
So we can kind of tell when she gets tired. She can just, stop doing that and just relax. And sometimes shortness of breath. Before her last surgery, she would get kind of blue. And that was a sign like, okay, her oxygen level is low, because her oxygen was kind of in like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's back up to like 95, which is awesome.
Fantastic. This is so great.
Yeah.
Daphne, the craziest thing, the irony is the half a heart. It looks like she has a bigger heart than anyone you could imagine.
I know. She has such great spirit all the time. It's great.
She really does. I can tell. You have the biggest heart of anyone, Daphne.
Yeah.
We'll show them. Can she just live an entire full life this way?
She can basically Everything that a normal kid can, she just go with sports and like no contact sports where she could be like hit in the chest where she's had those 3 heart surgeries. That could be a problem. But as long as her energy is okay and her oxygen continues to be okay, that's kind of the big thing that we look at, making sure that those surgeries are holding up and that her blood flow is still okay and circulating and still like above 90. That's something we really look for. And then with these kids that have had this third procedure, is called a Fontan procedure. They hook the blood vessels kind of directly into the liver to make it flow correctly. And they could have liver damage because of that. So they kind of start screening them as time goes on to see if there's liver damage. And they kind of look at the whole body to make sure that that rerouting of the blood isn't affecting other systems.
And are you waiting, like in our case, the case of pulmonary hypertension, we're sort of waiting for this magical cure. Is there a cure that you're waiting for? Is there something specific that could change everything?
Yeah, there's a few things. There's like a blood pump that they're making that's in, I think it's like in animal testing now, hopefully human testing soon, where it can act as a second ventricle for these kids. So it could really help them out in the long term because their one ventricle now is pumping for their whole heart. So it's putting a lot of stress on that. And eventually it could give out and they might need a heart transplant later on. So this pump could really help them. And I'm sure there's other things that they're testing that could help, but that's a big thing that would help. And it's just so unknown. They just don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah.
In a way, I find, I don't know if you find, but in a way when it's not known, although of course you want it to be known because you would love for a cure, there's something that is kind of exciting about the unknown because it also means that there's a way to heal yourself without, listening to all of this. There's no cure that's progressive. It's like I was supposed to be dead 7 years ago. I mean, they gave me days left to live. Wow. In addition to pulmonary hypertension, I had Pvod, which is like the life expectancy is like 5 minutes, Wow. So, I mean, it's like they do, and I'm not anti-doctor. I'm really not. When I talk, it sometimes sounds like I am, but I'm really not. I know that if I'd listened to them, I would probably not be alive today. Right. Because I would have believed what they had to say. And I think that it's so big when you do believe that and you're in such a vulnerable state and you believe that you are going to die. It's so dangerous. Yeah. That if there's a way to not believe this and to sort of restructure your brain and work toward living, which is what I did, it really, it's like 7 years later. So it's not necessarily, when it's unknown, it's not necessarily, this is it. There's a way to heal somehow. Is there anything you feel that Daphne has taught you about yourself that you didn't know was in you before you had her and before all of this happened?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm a stronger person and I have learned to advocate so much more than I ever thought that I would have been able to. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned.
Do you ever feel like, oh my gosh, like I can't bear to hear another complaint from a person about their child because if only they knew what was going on with mine? Do you feel that?
I do feel that. I especially feel that like when I was taking her to dance class, some of the dance moms would have side conversations about something silly that they were talking about at school or something about their kid didn't want to eat something, or it was a huge production and I wanted to be like, you only knew who was in this dance class with you and what we have been through.
And how do you think you view life now versus how you viewed it before?
Totally different. I mean, we live every day, every moment. We just like soak it all up because, every moment is treasured now than it wasn't before. Before we had Daphne, it was kind of like, oh, what do you want to do today? Things were different. And now it's like, wow, we have this miracle baby that made it through all these things. And every day is a blessing.
And what about strong? Are you strong?
Yeah. Can you show your muscles?
Show me.
Yeah, show your muscles.
Wow. Are you strong on the outside and also on the inside?
Yeah.
You are? And what do you think about superheroes? Do you have a favorite superhero?
Yeah.
Who?
I like superheroes.
You like superheroes?
Yeah.
Do they make people feel better when they're sad? Do they make people happy when they're sad?
Uh-huh.
Okay, ready? I'm going to see if you're a superhero. Ready? I'm going to be sad and you have to make me happy. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Can you cheer her up?
I'm so sad.
How do you make her not sad?
I'm so
Do you
sad.
do funny faces like you do, Daddy? Make funny faces.
Yeah.
It worked. Daphne, if you could have one superhero name, what would it be? Super Daphne?
Yeah.
What do you think your superpowers are?
What kind of superpowers do you want?
What do you think?
Science superpowers.
Oh, flying?
Flying? When I'm scared, I get scared. What can I do? What can I do when I get scared?
Be brave.
Be brave. I love it.